night.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another installment of TED Excellence, the show in which I find out how to look better because I'm a man and I don't know how to do that. And we come to you live from my Corona bunker on the moon with Dogcat Fox, a Pepperjack, and joining me tonight, the lovely Chaos Eve.
Hi, kids.
Hello, Chaos Eve. How are you today?
Tired. I just got back from a trip up to Illinois. I drove like 7 hours yesterday and then drove another 3 today, and I've been all over the place. I've been up to Illinois, down to Alabama. I've been in Wisconsin. I've been all over the map today. This past week.
Now you're on the moon.
And yes.
With me.
Yeah. I said it was a long trip, and boy, are my arms tired.
Yes, well, that joke's older than my grandfather. Anyway, hello everyone. Hope you're all having a decent Thursday, all things considered. Let me say a few hellos here, and then we'll get into things. Angela Arriaga, hello. Matt Barnes, hello. Raziel, hello. Jaeger Pony, hello. Green Death, hello. Swirl Blue, hello. Jamie Milquist, hello. Zeke Weiss, hello. Kiever Dam, hello. Jonathan Peterson, hello. Robert Pinkus, hello. Roger Reynolds, hello. Spud Gun, hello. Non-Vitae Rex, hello. Jam, hello. Atheist Icon, hello. Decode, hello. And I think that's everybody so far, at least that I see visibly. Hope you're all doing well today. Frosted Glass, did I already say hello? If I didn't, hello. Lexi Mans.
This is how you manage to live on the moon, because you don't have to breathe.
Actually, breathing is very important on the moon, which is why I lived in an enclosed dome.
Oh, okay.
In Crater Valley. So with today's TEDx, it's an interesting one in the sense that, it popped out on actual TED the other day. Uh-oh. And I was like, oh my gosh, an official TED Talk. And when I saw the title, The Decolonizing of Beauty, whatever that means, I could think of no one more glamorous than e-celebrity Chaos Eve to join me for this.
I'm so touched.
Because my first thought was, who do I know that knows something about beauty? Well, obviously, Chaos Eve. But also, here's the other interesting thing. So in the process of getting this whole thing together, and hello, Happy.
Yes, she's happy because she's been without me for a week, so she's just eager
puppy
to see
dog,
me.
Puppy dog. The other interesting thing is that this TEDx is actually, I've reversed that. This TED Talk started out as a TEDx. This was posted as a TEDx about like 8 months ago or something, and for whatever reason, like so many TEDx's before it, it has graduated to an official TED Talk, which tells you there is no quality differential between TED Talks and TEDx's anymore.
I'm seeing that's actually kind of disturbing, because I thought that you had to have some kind of level of expertise, like a degree in something.
Yeah, well, I mean, the bar used to be pretty high for a TED Talk. It was very subject specific. You had to come on. There was sort of a general sense you were jumping over a bar of credentials and so on to be able to speak on that topic. Whereas TEDx was, hi, I'm a high school teacher and I have an opinion, and that was enough. That's fine. But now you can't tell the difference. So this is a sort of quasi-TEDx we're going to be looking at, which means it must be awesome, because why else would it show up on 2 different channels, right? Let's see. Also, get your bingo cards ready. Today's bingo card is card A, as in Apple. You might be able to see that in the pinned tweet up above there. That was the results of the poll on Twitter. If you'd like to take part in future polls, when I remember to post them, be sure to follow me on Twitter. Also, I forgot, Eve, for those in the audience, let me get my words right today, who have no idea who you are or what you do, who are you and what do you do?
Hi, I'm Chaos Eve. I'm a longtime follower of Scribelight here. He's actually one of the reasons why I started streaming to begin with.
Gord.
And I'm a Twitch streamer. I have a YouTube show as well. Just a, internet Twitch thought, trying to make it.
Well,
wannabe Twitch thought. I'm trying really hard, but I haven't got that whole disrespecting your fans part down. So.
Oh, that's right. That's the way that you get popular, is by pissing everybody off. So I hear. Anyway, I have a Twitch channel that I never really use. I've used it twice so far. So maybe someday I'll be cool enough to try that out. And also, if you're interested in Chaos Eve's stuff, so to speak, links are in the description to her Twitter, her Say No More podcast YouTube channel, her Say No More podcast Twitter account and her Streamlabs if you happen to be so inclined to take a look at that. So that's all in the description for you. Let's see. So this one clocks in at just over, well, almost 11 minutes, I should say. So average size TEDx. Just based on the title, before we go in, I haven't watched this. Eve hasn't seen it. So Eve, just based on the title, The Decolonizing of Beauty, what would you, I don't know, suspect this is about? Let's take some guesses before we get into this.
At some point during this thing, they're gonna somehow imply that beauty itself, or the way that current society perceives beauty, or the fashion industry is going to be too white. That's what they're going to say. I bet you money that's what's going to be said here, just based on the title alone.
Yeah, decolonizing oftentimes is code for remove either white people or the presumed white perspective from something. That's usually how I've come to understand what that means. Real quick, this is Kyle. Thank you so much. Hello, chat people, Scribbles, and Eve. Hello, Kyle. All righty, thank you so much. All right, well, all that being as prelude, I will start off with a few seconds for sound test. You guys tell me if you can hear it. Well, actually, if Eve can hear it, I know everybody else can. And then we'll begin and see where we go. Get your bingo cards ready. And we're off to the races. Did you hear the applause? Everybody
Yes.
Hear the applause? Okay, heard the applause. And a few more hellos here. Adabisi, hello. Ebony Williams, hello. Let's see who else. Anybody else I miss? I don't see anybody. Just Paul, hello. If I missed anyone, I apologize. Big Dave 1066, hello. You might have to fight with Diesel Dave, because I think he's the biggest of Daves. Anyway, let's go on to beauty.
Today, I would like to talk to you about beauty.
No kidding.
And how we've got it all wrong when it comes to our perceptions of women, particularly Aboriginal women.
Oh, this is in Australia, I see. Okay. So,
okay, that makes sense then.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
But before I do, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land in which I stand upon.
The traditions of how to open up a speech are very similar there as to here these days. But by the way, we're all standing on occupied land, etc., and so on. Our land acknowledgement. Yeah.
The Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. I pay my respects to the elders, past, present, and emerging, and give thanks to our ancestors who guide and protect us.
Okay.
It was 1990, and I was pumped.
Well, I think we all had pumps back in 1990. Oh, wait, no, sorry.
I mean, I've had pumps for like the last 7-8 years.
Well, I was thinking about the the Nike shoes, the little like squeeze thing on that pumped up your shoes.
Oh, yes.
See, I'm old enough to remember those because I'm an old man.
I was too poor for those, but I always wanted some.
Actually, truth be told, I never actually had any, but the kids around me did. So anyway, I don't know if I was jealous. I think I had my Vans and I was okay.
I was off to my first birthday party just before I hit the terrible teens.
Your first birthday party before you hit the what? That confuses me. So it was your 11th birthday party?
With a terrible, I guess it would be, well, I guess it would be her 12th because you're technically not 18 until you're 13.
Oh, well, yeah, no, that's true. Okay. Or she was going to her first, I don't know. Okay, all right.
No chaperone and no bratty sister to tag along so she could snitch.
Okay, well, this is a childhood or family anecdote. So going to the bingo card real quick, free space. Circling that, and childhood or family anecdote. While we're here, let's also review all the squares on the bingo card and see what has already happened maybe, or what we predict might happen. Collectivize a zone demographic. I have a feeling that may occur. Well, actually, technically all women. I'll let it sit for a minute just for more, firm examples. Systemic, institutional, probably. Sales pitch for product or service. Maybe. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'd be surprised if not. Plays victim. Again, I'd be surprised if not. Microaggressions, unconscious bias.
That's coming. It's definitely coming.
That's coming. Privilege, probably. Contradicts own point or argument. Not yet. Patriarchy, man, possibly so, given all things considered. Weightless example. Not yet. Wage gap. Not yet. Feminism, possibly. Marginalization, possibly so. A list, maybe. White supremacy, we'll see. It might be implied, might be specific. Word salad, not yet. Self-vilification or wretchedness, I'd be amazed. Make something about race, sex, etc. for no reason, not yet. Attempt to coin new buzzword or buzz phrase, not yet. Although I have to keep in mind, she may say things that are completely common Australian speak that I just don't recognize. So I got to keep that in the forefront. Mind reading assumes motives, probably, but not yet. Benevolent condescension, not yet. Anecdote that probably never happened, not as of yet. And lastly, leaves out vital context. So far on the board, we have circled childhood or family anecdote, free space, and there are at least 2 or 3 that are probably just on the cusp of qualifying. So let's continue.
I had my cute little outfit on, gift in hand. And I was hoping that this little cutie that I liked would show up.
Okay.
And I was hoping that this little cutie would ask me this one question.
What's the one question? How do you do your nails like that? Or you want to go to the Sadie Hawkins dance?
In my khaki pants.
Well, hey now. Okay, what's the one question?
Sorry.
What's the one question you wanted your cutie to ask you? Like, are you single at 12? That's kind of weird.
You know that question that makes your heart beat right out your chest?
I don't know. Do you have syphilis? What?
Do you have COVID?
Do you want to be my girlfriend?
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. I mean, that's not the question that would make my heart beat out of my chest, but okay, I can empathize with this.
Even though I had no business having a boyfriend at that age, but it didn't matter because back then it was all about the rush.
Yeah, at 12, sure. It was all about the rush. The sugar rush? Okay.
I never did get asked that question.
Oh.
But the question I did get asked was, what's your background?
At 12. Okay, I'm going to let her continue because I need some more information. But based on that lead up, she's telling us that her cutie asked her at 12, what's your background? I'm getting ready to circle anecdote that probably never happened. And my finger's over the button.
And like any proud Aboriginal child would declare, I'm Aboriginal.
I do declare.
Given the reaction of the room.
The room? The whole room was paying attention to you when your cutie asked you what your background was.
I'm circling the anecdote that probably never happened right now.
Yes, I'm circling that. That's a bit too perfect. All right, tell us more about this thing that certainly happened.
Being Aboriginal was clearly a dirty word. And at the tender age of 11, I was told by my best...
I thought it was the year before your teen, so it would have been 12. We already kind of hashed that out earlier, but okay, whatever.
...friend's adult sister that I was too pretty to be Aboriginal.
Oh! Okay.
I mean, yeah, that's a little fucked up, but, you know.
I mean, I could see someone saying that. Peripherally, I know... or at least have been told, I should say, because I don't know, but I've been told several times by people from Australia about how terrible the racism is and or can be or was down there, depending on who you're talking to. So I could see someone saying something that nasty. Okay, but that everybody in the room especially if you're going to a birthday party of a friend that presumably people there already know you and you know them, so why would that even come up? Seems a little off base to me, but what do I know? Mike R, thank you so much. Hey, chat and Scribelite and Chaos Eve. Hello, Mike R. Thank you so much. All right. So tell me more about your birthday party or other person's birthday party inquisition of you.
By this time, my mouth is dry.
Uh-huh.
My blood is boiling.
Really?
And I'm trying so hard to fight back what feels like an ocean of tears.
Uh-huh. Real quick, off in the chat, my eye caught this. Feck off the PR villain from, I'm assuming the PR means Prague or Puerto Rico. I don't know. Scribe, I heard you. I heard of you from Metzger's podcast. You're funny, my guy. Oh, thank you. I think I'm pretty funny looking, at least. But thank you, PR guy or public relations. Are you a public relations villain? Because I've met a couple of those in my life. Thank you, Keldrig. Howdy, Scribe and Chaos. Howdy, Keldrig. Thank you so much. Okay, so you were boiling with rage in an ocean of tears.
I calmly join my circle of friends and begin to fake laugh at whatever's funny to mask my embarrassment as I clutch on to my newfound complex.
Okay, she said her best friend said that to her, that she was too pretty to be an Aboriginal.
I think she said the older sister of someone said that. Let me here. I'll go back a little bit and see if we can suss that out a little bit.
Fight back what feels
No. Okay.
clearly a dirty word. And at the tender age of 11, I was told by my best friend's adult sister.
Your best friend's adult sister. So your best friend's adult sister had never met you before, had no idea about you, and was just so much of a, well, this is a family show, so I'll say front hole that she said this to you at a birthday party. Anecdote.
I'll say it. She's a bitch.
If that is true, and I'm again Xing to doubt here, but if that is true, if that was true, that girl's a meanie head, absolutely.
That I was too pretty to be Aboriginal. By this time, my mouth is dry. My blood is boiling.
Yes.
And I'm trying so hard to fight back what feels like an ocean of tears. I calmly join my circle of friends and begin to fake laugh at whatever's funny.
I gotta say, she's got great teeth. I'm noticing teeth more lately because I've got the whole Invisalign thing going. So I've become very conscious of looking at other people's teeth. I know it's a weird thing, but that's just kind of what happens when you're watching your own shift over the course of time. So yeah. Anyways, I just want to say she's got great teeth. I don't know.
To mask my embarrassment.
Yes.
As I clutch on to my newfound complex.
Yes.
And this is why we need to change our perceptions of beauty.
Okay. Your personal struggles as a child, even if
one anecdote, and this is why we need to change our entire. Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
One asshole doesn't mean that everybody has a perception that way.
There's that, and also the fact that, my brain went sideways there for a second. Yeah, this one event does not mean everybody else has to change for your benefit. I mean, yeah, okay. Let's say that what you say happened actually happened, which again seems a little bit over dramatic and perfect for your argument, but either way, let's say that actually happened or something similar happened. Okay. You got teased as a kid. You got made to feel small and terrible and yucky of yourself. Okay. Name for me a human on the planet growing up amongst their peers who hasn't. Okay. I'm sorry. You're not that special. And someone being mean to you as a kid does not then mean that everybody in the adult world needs to change their opinion because you got your feelings hurt.
I mean, if by that logic, because my 7th grade class decided to pay the girl I liked $20 to pretend she liked me for a day.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. It was pretty fucked up. By that logic, we should, change our perception on money and give it all to me because I'm so tortured. And you know what I'm saying? Like, we can follow this logic here.
Money was made the enemy of my childhood, therefore it needs to become my ally as an adult. Give me your money.
Right?
Yes. That's your TEDx talk. I don't know what the title would be, but you know, it's like Cashing Eve or something. No. Cash. Cash Eve outside.
Oh, God damn it.
There you go. Cash Eve outside. That's going to be the TEDx talk from Chaos Eve. Anyway, okay, we need to change our perceptions of beauty because you got made fun of as a kid. As terrible as that is, okay, tell us, how must we change our perspectives?
And how we do this is by learning from Aboriginal women.
Okay, so we need to change our perspectives of beauty specifically regarding Aboriginal women. Okay, well, not living in Australia, I don't really have a perspective on a regular basis of Aboriginal women, but that really means very little to me because generally in my head, I can't differentiate who comes from where or what just by looking at them necessarily, nor do I really care. But okay, you're very focused on this one subject. So how should Australians, and I know we have a few Australians who may or may not be in the audience right now, how must Australians change their perspectives?
Their stories and perspectives.
What does someone... Whoa! Is that the audience?
I guess it's the COVID safe audience.
And they're all in little hexagons.
Creepy looking. It looks like a bunch of like, like the compound eyes that a fly has.
Yeah.
That's what that looks like to me. It's a little weird.
You know, the very first phrase that came to my mind when I saw that? Hive diversity.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a second. Yeah, speak of the devil, as it were. Peter, Silak, Hades, 313. Guess what, Scribe? I am Australian. Did you know that? Yes, Pete, I did. I very much, in fact, did.
Hi, Pete.
It's Pete. Let's see. There's Pete, and Dangerous Spaces, I think, is also an Australian, and there's a couple others that I know are out there that I'm blanking on right now. But yes, I know we have a few of you from down under with us. G'day. Crikey. Anyway. Okay, so that's the audience. We got the Zoom audience, and then we have the desk audience. All right. So anyway, change our perspectives.
Because right now,
yes,
pretty hurts.
What?
Pretty.
What? Wait. What? Did I miss something? Hold on. I need to get the...
Found complex.
Yes.
And this is why we need to change our perceptions of beauty. And how we do this is by learning from Aboriginal women, their stories and perspectives. Because right now, pretty hurts.
Okay, so going back to her story, when the bitch girl said, "You're too pretty to be Aboriginal," pretty hurts. Is that? I'm assuming that's what I'm supposed to draw from that. All right, well, tell us how pretty hurts.
Yes.
Pretty hurts because you're trying to erase my Aboriginality.
What?
To applaud my proximity to whiteness.
Oh, no!
Told you.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, no, okay. I mean, that's not quite white supremacy yet. I'm going to wait and see if she uses the words. For those of you that are new to this bingo thing, what we do here is we look for either a very on-point example that matches up to one of the squares on the card, or if we don't get an on-point and or quote that fits the square throughout the course of the presentation, we assess on aggregate whether or not there was enough subject matter in the talk to justify circling the square. And that's sometimes and oftentimes where we get down to debates between myself and the audience as to whether or not we should circle a square. So if you have arguments for squares that are not yet circled by the time we get to the end of this, hold on to them. I will entertain them when we get to the end. So I know a lot of energy in these things. People want to say, no, circle this, circle this, circle this. We will get there. We will get there, I swear. Okay, anyway, so proximity to whiteness and pretty hurts. And tell me more.
Pretty hurts because aimed at an Aboriginal woman, it is a weapon. loaded in racism, sexual exploitation, and cultural genocide.
Hold on. Is she saying that saying she's pretty is racist?
Okay.
Is that what I'm getting from that?
Well, I mean, if she's going back to "you're too pretty to be Aboriginal," but that's not what she's saying. She's just saying pretty. So if I just say "you're pretty," full stop, then I'm destroying your culture, being genocidal and racist. I mean, I hope that's not what she's saying, but it sure sounds like what she's saying when she takes off that whole assessing beauty on the basis of your, ethnic background, let's say. I mean, I'm not even sure that doing that necessarily goes as far as she is saying here, but I could believe that more than just saying "you're pretty" equates to something that terrible. So let's see where she goes.
You see, what this woman didn't realize when she declared that I was too pretty to be Aboriginal is that she took something precious from me.
Only because you allowed her to. See, that's part of the thing about giving in to bullies, is that ultimately they only have the power that you give them for the most part, especially in something in this instance. So you're allowing her to damage you is a pain self-chosen. And that's got nothing to do with race or anything else. That's just bullies in life in general. But, okay. Kiefer Dan, thank you so much. Circle list. That's true. She did list off racism and genocide and everything else. So you're correct. Okay. There are some times we're saying circle that square, and I just missed it. So Kiefer Dan keeps me honest. Okay. So, again, you got your feelings hurt as a kid, and now it's the most terrible thing that's ever terrible because you've never been able to get over it. Okay.
Pride in my identity. You see, I belong to the oldest living culture in the world.
That means nothing. You do not. Okay. Sorry to keep pausing like this, but when I hear things like this, I always get kind of, you can neither take credit nor blame for things you have not done. You belong genetically and culturally, yes, to a very old culture. Taking pride in that, well, I suppose there's a certain level of that. But now, are you going to start saying that you are a better person than others because you happen to belong to a very identifiable culture? Are we getting into?
And that's the thing, is that being the oldest culture doesn't mean anything. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean you're the best, doesn't mean you're the most, the greatest. Just means that you've been here for a while. What did you offer? What did you do? What did you contribute to the world at large? Oh, right, nothing.
Well, here's the other
especially
thing.
You as an individual right now.
Well, that was what I was going to say, is that however esteemed or storied or interesting your culture may be, you are the person being assessed. You don't get to hide behind your culture and say, "I am my culture." Your culture is not an identity. Your ethnicity is not an identity. You are you. So if you're going to start saying you need to be respected because of the culture you belong to, that doesn't wash. And that wouldn't wash with anybody, regardless of what they look like, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But that day, that legacy, it was replaced with shame.
Shame that was self-chosen. Offenses taken, not given. If you were 12 or 11 or whatever and you got your feelings hurt, hey, kids are mostly emotion that doesn't know how to regulate itself. So I can forgive you that. But you're a grown adult now. Have you had no time to reflect on this, to get past it, to be stronger than someone saying something nasty to you back when you were 11?
And it's been this filthy stain I've been trying to get rid of for 20 years.
Seek therapy. I mean,
right, but I mean, like, saying, wait, the shame or her race is something she's been trying to get rid of.
I mean, if she gave us the story about the birthday party And then she gave a story about something that happened last week. And she said, in between these two events has been nothing but a staccato of people denigrating me and my family and so on and so forth. That might be a better sell to me. But as with all TEDx talks, we can only work with what's in the presentation itself. So unless she gives us something else, this looks like somebody who's been holding a grudge against one hurt feeling from 20 years back, which, yeah, doesn't fly all that well.
She's given one example. She hasn't talked about how, as she went through her life, people mistreated her or something like that. It's just one example. She gave one.
Well, I would bet, and I'm not betting anything because I'm liable to lose, but I would bet somewhere down here we're going to get some comment about hair products and or makeup made for one race versus another as an example of beauty standards not working or something like that, I'm guessing.
And this is where my obsession for beauty comes from. Over the years, trying to mimic it as a model. Advocating for diversity in fashion to launching Ascension magazine to celebrate women of color.
Oh, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Circling that on the board. Okay, so you leveraged your looks to get a career as a model to advocate for causes you believe in. How did you end up becoming a model if everyone needs to reassess their vision of beauty? Are you like having some kind of survivor's guilt or something because of your looks? Or I'm trying to figure this out.
Whose beauty is still underrepresented, with much pain and trauma behind one word. Pretty taught me through my indigeneity I could reclaim my beauty.
Pretty taught you through your indigeneity you could reclaim your beauty.
Can we say word salad there? Because that sounded like word salad. I don't even understand what the fuck that means.
I don't know either. I mean, if I'm believing or understanding your story correctly, you got a career as a model based on your looks. You leveraged your looks into a career, which is perfectly legitimate, but obviously someone found you beautiful even if you had self-esteem issues. And if beauty, the sort of surface level has nothing to do with what kind of person you are, just how you look, if that's the big concern, yeah, okay. What's the old phrase? It's only skin deep. All right, so again,
for some of these folks, it seems like everything they are.
Well, I mean, if you're a model, I suppose it really is. So, all right, so you got a job as a model. You advocated for the causes you believed in, using the leverage you created with your looks, and
To Indigenous women, true beauty came from the traditional roles we upheld.
Then why did you become a model? I mean, seriously, well, why did you enter into the WIDER, just for the sake of things, the wider world, if true beauty comes from, you didn't believe that to some extent, right? Otherwise, why would you need to go out and prove it to everybody?
Also, how did she have any success?
Yeah.
Like who would have hired her if they didn't find her attractive, they didn't think she was beautiful? So if what
isn't hiring you saying you're pretty, if they didn't say it literally, that at least by extension of you getting a contract?
I love when people like this come out and try to say that, well, my efforts in this particular area helped change things for others. And it's like, yeah, you may have brought attention to it, but people as a whole changed. If there was an attitude like what she's talking about that was directed towards Aboriginal people and a general populace, it changed not because of anything she did, but because, or it is changing, it's happened because people wanted to change.
Well, but here's the other thing too, is that when she, and I don't know what kind of modeling she did, but just for the sake of argument, let's say she got a modeling contract and she ended up in a magazine ad, okay, for something. And if somebody sees her in a magazine ad, is it that she wants people to look at her and say, ah, there's an attractive Aboriginal? Is that what she wants people to think?
I guess.
Or because she's good looking, therefore I can see all Aboriginal people as inherently beautiful? I mean, outside of just, the simple beauty of human beings and so on in general, as long as they're nice people, that kind of thing. I guess I'm confused as to what her ultimate goal here is and how she means to get there with what she's saying so far. But then we still have 6 minutes.
Our kinship systems.
Sorry, I'm going to back up a little bit. I cut her off.
Word. Pretty taught me through my indigeneity I could reclaim my beauty.
Uh-huh.
To Indigenous women, true beauty came from the traditional roles we upheld. Our kinship systems.
Like?
Connection to country and the waterways, and how we pass this ancient knowledge down to the next generation.
Wait, you're talking about knowledge, but you were talking about physical beauty earlier. So you should be seen as beautiful for your mind more than your looks. I mean, I can kind of appreciate that on a poetic level, but you weren't talking about that. You were talking about someone commenting on your appearance. So Indigenous women are beautiful because of the skills and knowledge they pass down, never mind their looks. I'm getting mixed messages here. Thank you, Johnny Hellcat. Hand model at best. No, I could see her being a model. Sure. I mean, well, these days, anybody can be a model depending on what somebody finds attractive or wants to advertise with. So, yeah, if what's that guy's name? Joey Guacamole. What's that foodie whatever guy? If somebody said that somebody paid him to be a model on something, I'd believe it, because anybody can be a model these days. So, okay. Anyway, so their minds and their traditions make them beautiful. So if somebody sees them passing down knowledge and says, that's very pretty, are you going to get offended over that?
The way we express beauty was never defined against a Eurocentric ideal of beauty.
Well, then how was it expressed? And is it any more or less valid that it's not Eurocentric if it's all based on surface level stuff? And what do Aboriginal people think of, say, white Europeans as far as being beautiful or not? Has an Aboriginal person ever said, you're awfully attractive for a white person? Is that any more or less a problem? I don't know, but I mean, if we're talking about the same mechanisms here, I'd be curious to know what our speaker's opinion is on that.
You see, in my culture, our beauty is not monolithic. It's not measured by a thin waistline, porcelain skin, or slender hips.
But you're telling us that we have to change our attitudes about beauty to conform to your idea. How is that not trying to impose a monolith of your own?
Yeah, I have nothing to add there. just irritation.
Yeah, I want to know where she's going with this, because I still haven't heard like the instructions I need to take in to be a better person.
It's much deeper than that.
Okay, let me back up a little bit here.
By a thin waistline, porcelain skin, or slender hips. It runs much deeper than that.
Right, because obviously Eurocentric people have no concept of beauty as a concept except for surface level. There's no art, there's no poetry, there's no writing from quote-unquote Eurocentric cultures that speak to beauty as something more abstract than simply the shape of someone's body. No, of course not. Of course not. That's never come up before. Never a concept that's ever alighted itself on our doorstep. Nope, you're right. You're absolutely right. You've got us pegged. You really do.
So what does Indigenous beauty look like?
Well, if you're going to say not you, then are you still Indigenous? Or is pretty. I'm confused.
Oh, it's fierce, defiant, and proud. And one ancestor who epitomizes indigenous beauty is Barangaroo, a powerful Camaragal woman.
Do you have a picture of her, or are we going past the skin deep stuff now? Because you started out with that, but now that doesn't matter. Lady who made a career as a model. Okay.
Revered for her wisdom and independence, Barangaroo, like the other Eora women, took pride in their status as being main food providers for their tribe. A skillful and patient fisherwoman, Barangaroo would access Sydney Harbour and its surrounding waters for its abundant food supply.
Okay, you obviously admire this person. So what?
Only taking what was needed.
Oh, okay. All right. Unlike other people, there's like a sidewise accusation going on here, I keep sensing.
So you can just imagine how furious Barangaroo was when she saw British colonists troll 4,000 salmon off the North Shore in just one day.
I could believe it. Yeah, I mean, regardless of where you're at, if somebody comes into your neighborhood and starts messing around with your stuff, I could see it.
From what I'm reading of this Barangaroo woman, I don't see even a birth date. There's no pictures because she died in 1791.
Yeah,
so
no, I assume she's
very long time ago.
Yeah, if you're talking about British colonists in Australia, then this is a long time ago. But okay, so all right, so British colonists came in, started messing around with her territory, and then
gifting some of this catch to her husband and some of the other men from her tribe.
Is that patriarchy?
Wait, what did she say again? Because we cut her off mid-sentence.
Oh, she's saying that here. I'll back up a little bit, 1 second, but let me get to Frosted Glass. Thank you so much. Don't mock my race because it's superior. I mean, again, I'm not quite sure where she's going. She started off with someone commenting on her looks, and then she's saying we have to look past looks with Aboriginal women and look to their traditions, their culture, their wisdom. I'm like, okay, so what am I focusing on? Anyway, so British guys come in, scoop up all the fish, and then
only taking what was needed.
Yes.
So you can just imagine how furious Barangaroo was when she saw British colonists troll 4,000 salmon off the North Shore in just one day. Then gifting some of this catch to her husband and some of the other men from her tribe.
Okay, so the British guys scooped up a bunch of fish, and as, I don't know, recompense, payment, honor, I don't know, they passed on the fish to the men of the tribe.
Okay.
Barangaroo knew such a wasteful act would threaten the Eora women's cultural authority within the tribe.
Oh, so it was a power grab match. I mean, well, if you want to call it waste, in the sense that presumably they took that fish to feed it to other people and they gave fish to the tribe. So I don't think they caught the fish to have it go to waste. But anyway, yeah, okay. They scooped up your supply, or your tribe's supply, let's say, or her tribe's supply.
Yeah, I mean, if it's viewed that way, but when you talk about it being a wasteful act, I mean, she's assuming that they're not going to use it all. I mean, if they're catching all that fish.
Yeah.
You know.
And them giving it to the males of the tribe undermined her power as a female leader. Okay, so what did she do?
Furthermore, destroying their traditional way of life.
Well, you're telling all of us that we need to change our perspective to make you happy. So is change good, or isn't it? And because this lady was risking, or having risked, I should say, losing her personal status, that insult to her is the problem? Or her station?
So Barangaroo rejected British laws and customs, their food, drink, and social etiquette,
Uh-huh.
even when her husband decided to conform.
Uh-huh.
When Barangaroo and her husband Benelong was invited to dine with Governor Phillip and the British Party, Barangaroo stayed true to who she was.
Okay.
Instead of wearing colonial attire, a tight corset and a gown layered in silk, finished with pearls, she came sporting her traditional wares.
Good for her. Thank you, Johnny Hellcat. Pixar didn't happen. Oh, wait. No, I mean, in the absence of something that tells me that she's saying something that's incorrect, I'll stipulate to the historical events. Interpretation is obviously up to her, but I don't have any reason to think it's not true. Going to the board real quick, I am going to circle patriarchy because at least an implication or tone of voice and the example she's using, I think she's more than a little bit commenting on the paternal side of things getting the upper hand. Let's see. I'm going to leave the rest, leave it alone for the rest. Okay.
White ochre and a bone through her nose.
Oh, okay.
What Barangaroo illustrated was Indigenous beauty is authentic.
Well, I don't know if that's the message more than what you said before. She was being defiant to an invading culture, let's say. So was the message that she was showing off beauty, or that she was just being a rebel?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's also a thing of this is all predicated on the fact that there is some kind of universal standard for beauty. There are several people, I can use this as an example. There's several people in the chat who've said that, this woman that's on the screen right now, that she's unattractive, that she's a 4, that she's not looks like a man, but I don't think she looks terrible. I don't think she looks ugly. No. But the problem is that someone's standard of beauty is subjective. What I find beautiful, you're not necessarily going to find beautiful, and vice versa,
It's interesting, and I think about this now, is that, and again, I didn't watch this before we were watching it here. The poll I put up for which bingo card to use, I always get a little goofy with that, and I say, today's TED Excellence bingo, beauty product or beauty enhancer, it should be, and then I find words that start with A, B, and C to put down there. And I tried to look up some kind of beauty product or category that started with the letter A, but I couldn't find one. I found like, blush and cleanser or concealer or whatever. I couldn't find anything that started with the letter A. And so I was trying to think, okay, what's a beauty enhancement? And the one thing that's always been the deciding factor to me, no matter how many pretty girls I've come across in my life, has always been attitude. And, this lady, physically speaking, I find her attractive. I don't know about other people. But at the same time, that's only, to me, part of the equation. So, yeah, beauty standards, it's subjective one to another. But here's my question, though. If she, venerates this lady from her culture's past and her notions of what beauty is and how, it should still be valid, why doesn't she have a bone through her nose?
I mean, exactly. I mean, when it comes to that, it's like I lost my train of thought there. But I wasn't, like I said, chat's going, well, I didn't say that. I said that. I'm like, I wasn't chiding you guys. I was just using you as an example to point out how people have different beauty standards, of things.
Yeah, you don't have to apologize if you don't find someone attractive. That's not.
But you.
I mean,
you make a very good point of why doesn't she have a bone through her nose? Why isn't she wearing, nothing but a string of bones around her neck, bone through her nose, and standing there with a stone spear in her hand, and her hair pulled back in a top? Why does she have makeup on? Why does, if this is what she wants to say is unless she's, saying she gets to define what Aboriginal beauty is, I
don't know. I mean, that's always one of the things that always, like the one I did 2 weeks back or whatever, where the lady was talking about how to define women, and she said she started bringing up the blue and pink sort of binary notion of what a woman and a boy is, etc. And she's got pink hair, and she's talking about beauty standards for women, and she's wearing makeup, and so on. And just like, okay, I mean, either you're going to walk the walk or you're not, and if you're not, well, then you're just, giving an example of how there is no rule unless you're just the rule breaker for some reason. And so, yeah, okay. So this lady defied the invading peoples of the British Isles and so on by wearing traditional garb and or accoutrement. Okay. And you find that beautiful. Great. Okay. Obviously, it's something that, at least in this instance, you're not yourself practicing. So I don't know how beautiful you actually find it, but all right. She was a defiant figure in your culture's past. All right.
Anibero van Uplu, a respected Gamilori elder, shared a story with a group of women one day.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "We all have a bit of Barangaroo in us." Later that evening, I thought about Anibero's message.
Well, wait, which evening? Did I miss? Wait, where is she right now in her story? I must have missed it. Okay.
And what I received from her message was,
Uh-huh.
no matter our culture, color, or how we identify, spirit is what we share. It's what connects us.
Then why do you have such antipathy for anyone who is quote unquote Eurocentric? If color, culture, all these things don't matter, but we're all connected by spirit, then everyone in their own way is beautiful. So is that the message?
Is beautiful. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the message she's going for, is that, even though it's packaged very awkwardly, she's just saying, find the beauty in everyone, regardless of what their surface level, etc. Like, okay, that's a very Hallmark card. I can sort of sentimentally get behind that. Sure. But you've already pointed out some derogatory notions about certain cultures and or skin colors. So which is that a contradiction on point or argument? We'll wait, give her another minute or three here.
You
Maybe
see,
she can
if we,
salvage it.
The what now?
I said maybe she can salvage it.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like, I want to make sure I don't jump the gun, so to speak.
spirit is what we share. It's what connects us.
Uh-huh.
You see, if we indigenize beauty, the meaning is transformed from aesthetically pleasing to a state of divinity.
Oh, so only your perspective is connected to the divine. Indigeneity equals divine beauty. Okay, so you're not elevating your opinion to a higher plane than everybody else.
I'm so confused.
Okay.
Beauty now becomes spirit manifested.
So you want people to ignore the mortal coil and see the beauty inside. A sentiment I've never, ever, ever heard before anywhere else in my entire life. Okay. And how does your spirit come across in your modeling photographs? I mean, okay.
Not only is spirit found within us, it's in all things.
Sure. I'm getting flashbacks to the tabletop role-playing game Werewolf the Apocalypse. If you guys don't know that, those of you that in the chat do know that, you know what I'm talking about. Everything has a spirit.
Oh,
It's
I'm familiar with it.
Are you? Just a little bit?
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit?
Landscapes, it's in the elements.
Yes.
The Yolngu people of Northeast Arnhem.
That person in the center is the only health-conscious person there. Everybody else is in deep trouble, especially if you're in Australia right now. Just saying.
Land.
Mm-hmm.
They have a dream time story. Walu, the sun woman.
Mm-hmm.
They say Walu lights a small fire each morning, which creates the dawn.
Yeah.
She then paints her body in red ochre, and as she does, some of it falls onto the clouds, creating the sunrise.
Mm-hmm.
She then makes a torch from a stringy bark tree, and carries this fire across the sky from east to west, creating the daylight. And when it's time for her journey to end, she descends from the sky. And as she does, some of the red ochre from her body falls onto the clouds, creating the sunset.
That's nice. Just about every culture on the planet has some sort of explanation, mythological or otherwise, for the movement of the sun across the sky and the day and the night. So that's an interesting one. I hadn't heard that one before. So
Indigenous beauty can be seen right across this continent.
Whoa, wait. Okay, creation myths or mythological beliefs and so on and so forth are all fine. What did that have to do with anything? What did that have to do with temporal notions of beauty? Well, obviously we're not talking about temporal notions of beauty because it's all spirit, but what does a mythological figure have to do with that argument?
I'm
leaning
I don't know.
I'm leaning toward weightless example if she doesn't come up with something else here pretty quick. There's a whole bunch of squares that are going to be circled by the end of this, I think.
Like I said, I'm really lost here because it seems like she's just jumping around, but she's not tying anything together. I'm like, you're just saying things because they sound good.
Yeah.
Each Aboriginal nation with its own creation stories of how we came to be.
Yeah. Again, like every other ancient culture on the planet. The individual stories and beliefs might be very unique and interesting, but the fact that there are different creation stories for every culture is not unique. So are your, creation stories more valid than anybody else's? What is the point of bringing that up?
Astronomy, medicine, agriculture.
Yeah, a lot of you're not the only ones that figured out that stuff. You're very proud of your heritage. I get it.
It's like I said, you want to brag about being one of either the oldest or one of the oldest races of people on the earth. Okay. But what does that mean in the grand scheme of things? It doesn't mean anything other than congratulations, you managed to not get killed.
Yeah, if again, we're like you said, we're floating around. So message one is beauty should not be skin deep. Okay, beauty should be seen as part of who you are, your spirit. Okay, well, I can get kind of on board with that. It's kind of a combination and to each their own kind of thing. Now it's creation myths and okay. Yeah, okay. I'm lost too.
Architecture, education,
yes,
innovation, and when we had conflict, we had law.
Yes, like many other cultures on the planet. And I don't know. I'm not a cultural anthropologist. For all I know, all or many of those things were developed far beyond or far before other cultures on the planet. I'll stipulate to that just on the abstract. Okay.
And I'm going to be honest. I'm one of those people that's like, if an animal is dying off, unless we specifically were just complete assholes and wipe them out, why do we have to work so hard to save an animal that is evolutionarily not compatible with the world as it is? It's dying out. I'm sorry, that's sad, but why are we, in the same way, cultures are lost because they got destroyed by superior cultures. I'm not saying it was nice, but I'm saying that, shit happens.
Well,
we can't.
There's value in preserving things of, elements of human history and things. Like if there's a dying language, let's say, like Scottish Gaelic, for example. It's not exactly a dying language or dead language, but it's one that's definitely not in use as much as it used to be. And there's efforts to, maintain and teach the language and so on to not lose that aspect of one's culture. Same thing with like Navajo and things like that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with chronicling, preserving, and so on the elements of either cultures that have gone in the past or cultures that are still in existence, though obviously, just because the nature of humanity and movement and thereof have probably been diluted by other cultures coming in. It's kind of the melting pot effect. That's perfectly fine. I'm just trying to figure out here. It's like, what does any of this have to do with a perception of beauty? I mean, if she's only talking about indigenous women need to be considered beautiful beyond simply skin color because of a culture that they belong to ephemerally, not necessarily. Because if I see someone who's, it's like saying just because you look a particular way, you belong to a particular culture. I can just look at you and know exactly where you belong. That's not how that's necessarily supposed to work. In fact, that might be a little bit, I don't know, racist to just assume something of someone because of the way they look.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, anyway, real quick. Thank you, Johnny Hellcat. When is the carry part of the presentation? You want everybody to light on fire through psychokinesis?
I think he just wants her to be covered in blood. I don't understand.
Oh, let's not go there.
I'm sorry. That's just whenever I think of Carrie, that's the scene I remember. Is that one?
Yeah, John Travolta's going to pull a prank on her or something.
Oh God.
Okay. Anyway, so yes, your culture did all of these things, and again, I don't know the chronology. If your culture did all of these things before every other culture on the planet, great. And so,
LORE.
Wait. Did I miss something? I must have missed something.
Continent. Each Aboriginal nation with its own creation stories of how we came to be. Astronomy, medicine, agriculture, architecture, education, innovation, and when we had conflict, we had law. LORE.
When we had conflict, I thought you said law.
Yeah, she spelled lore.
Yeah, LOR.
Lore.
When we had conflict, we had lore. Okay, what did lore do to stop or resolve conflict?
To restore order.
Wait. Lore restored? How?
Like the seasons, flora and fauna, night and day. We are all interconnected.
Wait. Okay, I thought you said law. When we had conflict, we had law, but no, she spelled out lore. How?
We have lore. We have there's history here, and while I can agree that there's definitely interesting things there, that doesn't necessarily mean that just because you have it doesn't mean that it's necessarily good or useful or edifying to the world at large.
Well, I'm still okay. Setting aside her, I thought she said law, spelling out lore, how lore somehow solved everybody's problems. Unless you're listening to the podcast lore, because obviously that solves a lot of problems. What does any of this have to do with getting your feelings hurt at a birthday party at 11 and needing everybody to change their opinions about how you're supposed to be assessed by beauty? You've got about 3 minutes left. So
I'm glad she spelled it because I wouldn't have known what she was saying.
Well, I mean, it would have made sense to me if she said law, because she's talking about we had conflict, we had law, and we restored order. Like, well, laws are there to sort of keep, civilization in some sort of check. But no, she spelled out lore, and I don't get it.
One does not work without the other.
Sorry, I'm going to back up again.
LORE.
What?
To restore order. Like the seasons, flora and fauna, night and day, we are all interconnected.
Yeah.
One does not work without the other.
Uh-huh.
The very principles which binds humanity together.
What does this have to do with?
Over the years, my obsession for beauty.
Yeah.
It's led me to this truth.
Okay.
Obsession. You cannot appreciate beauty if you cannot recognize it in yourself.
The fuck?
Well, again, it depends on what your definition of beauty is. If you're talking about the more, again, abstract notion of it, you can't enjoy life unless you enjoy yourself. You have to be right with yourself before you can be right with others. This is all very sort of boilerplate, sort of personal philosophy, internal reflection kind of stuff. And okay, I mean, depending on how you define beauty, yeah, okay. And so when do we get to the instructions to us, the rest of society, as to what we need to do to improve ourselves to interpret beauty the way that you need us to, so that your feelings aren't hurt when you were 11? I guess that's what I'm still waiting to hear, because that seemed to be the premise we were starting with.
So how do we change our perceptions of beauty?
I've been waiting 9 minutes and 21 seconds to find out.
Yep.
Okay, so how do we do that? You have my full attention.
We have to get real with ourselves.
Okay.
And start by asking,
Yeah.
who am I? Where do I come from?
What?
The world that I live in, how did it come to be? And more importantly,
What?
where to from here?
What? You want me to answer the biggest questions of the universe and living in order to appreciate real beauty? That's all we have to do. Oh, well, hell, I got some free time this weekend. I can probably figure that out. Who am I? Yeah, because, that's not something I've been working on bit by bit over the course of my entire life or anything.
So let me get this straight. In order to stop being racist and change our ideas of what beauty are, we have to figure out who we are.
Where we come
as an
from.
individual. Not like who we are as a people, but who we are as a person.
Well, I guess that's the question. Was she talking about it in the individual level or in that whole interconnected spirit level? Like who we are as a species? Let's see.
You may not like what you discover.
Ooh,
I already don't like this.
Okay, tell me what I might not like that I'm bound to discover.
But sit with it.
With what?
Feel the discomfort.
Of what?
Colonization has stolen from us one of the greatest treasures we can obtain. Each other.
No. No.
I don't even know.
This is me putting my glasses on the keyboard and rubbing my eyes. Okay, let's back up and try that one more time. Let's take that from the top. I want to get back to the part where he says, how do we do this? Okay, how do we change ourselves?
We have to get real with ourselves and start by asking, who am I?
Who am I? Okay, asking who. So she's talking about an individual level here. Okay, so step one, who am I?
Hi, I'm Chaos Eve. Next.
I'm Mr. Ed. Okay, so who am I? Who am I? I'm Scribe. And then?
Where do I come from?
Well, if we want to get very sort of technical, my mother's womb.
I would concur with that assessment.
If we want to get more, I guess, geographical, left coast is the best coast. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, so I have an answer to these things because I don't identify as attributes of my makeup, so I am Scribe, and I come from the place I come from. Okay, I know those two things. So I'm 2 steps towards understanding beauty, I guess. Okay.
The world that I live in, how did it come to be? And more important.
Whoa. How did the world come to be?
Does she mean like physically, as in like, the creation of the universe and everything, or does she mean like society as it is now?
Well, having brought up creation myths earlier, I guess it depends how the world, like, yeah, is she talking scientifically? Is she talking, metaphorically? I can't tell. From everything she said previous, it's difficult for me to know. But all I have to do on step 3 is to answer, where did the world come from? I mean, the first 2 were easy peasy, but now I have to define where the world came from. Okay.
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 Where to from here?
Okay, well, I'm not even sure I know where I am right now to know where I'm going next if I can't define where the world came from. I mean, I have to get past that part first to know where I am, I guess.
Okay, let's just say that I have oh.
Uh-oh.
Kayla dropped something. It's okay. I have an opinion as to where I think the world came from.
Okay.
You know, we'll use because I'm Christian. We'll use the Christian creation story and go. I've answered that question. Let's just for argument's sake, I'm answering that question that way.
Okay.
All right. Where do we go from here? I guess forward. We try to treat people with respect. Like I don't get what she's asking. It's just
right.
I'm just so deep, man, and I'm just, you know what I'm saying? Like,
well, I mean, the thing is that she started out this entire deal saying that people need to change their perspectives on beauty, or at least specifically beauty of Indigenous women. Okay, so presumably that is the end goal. Right? So to say, where do we go from here? Well, you've told us where you want us to go, and presumably the steps you've just listed off are the way to get there. So do we or don't we have a destination right after I figure out how the world I live in came to be?
Yeah, I mean, the answer should be what she's saying here. It's just like, we have this problem and I don't know how to solve it, but I want you to figure out how to solve it. And it's like, I'm
not even sure I know what the problem specifically is.
Exactly. It's just
the only problem I've had cited to me so far that has anything I can have a foothold in is her feelings were hurt when she was 11, when some girl, quote unquote, backhanded complimented her while insulting her entire sort of lineage, let's say. And
I can even agree that was kind of a fucked up comment.
Yeah, I can get it. I can see how that make me mad. I can see how that make me uncomfortable, and so on and so forth. I could see that. I can empathize with that notion.
But she never cited any more examples of how anyone ever mistreated her because of her race. She never gave us any other reason to believe that anything other than that one comment when she was a child just sent her, on this path,
To then extrapolate that one event into an entire worldview, and let's be honest here, an absolute dislike for apparently white people and Eurocentrism. And I mean, if you don't like, European stuff, that's perfectly fine, whatever. But she brought it down to race, and also sort of disparaging an entire collective of cultures. Eurocentric does not mean like one thing. You want to talk about monolithing stuff? That's like taking a whole raft of different cultures and history. I mean, you want to talk about, the British and the Picts, right? The Irish, the Scots, and so on. Yeah, they're totally one thing. That's why they all get along and have forever.
I know, right?
Anyway, yeah, talk about different tribes having different beliefs. Well, I tell you what, again, not a unique experience amongst just Indigenous people in Australia versus people across the planet. Anyway, where do we go from here? You have to tell me. You're the guide.
You may not like what you discover.
Yeah, right. I know. Yeah, I hate myself.
But sit with it.
Yeah, well, I have no choice.
Feel the discomfort.
I do every day.
Colonization has stolen from us one of the greatest treasures we can obtain, each other.
I am not without other people, because whatever my culture is, for the most part, does not inherently divide me from others. Okay, I was talking about this a couple days ago with Sister Scribe. It's just like all the people that I've met. This is one example. All the people I've met just by doing YouTube in different countries and different cultures of different. You want to talk about perspectives and backgrounds, et cetera, et cetera. Almost none of that means anything to me insofar as dividing me from another person. It's the person-to-person communication. I like it when I have friends that I don't agree with all the time. I like it when, especially in this day and age, when I find someone who we clash sometimes, but we still get along.
Amen to that.
I'm not going to name names. I don't want to call anybody out as though that were a bad thing or something. But there's a few people I've met just in the recent 6 months or so, where either on Twitter or in a DM or something, we'll be talking about something. We're obviously at loggerheads over something. And we come back the next day and say, hey, how's it going? Or I'm working on this project, or whatever else. It's such a nice feeling to know that there are things beyond simple ideology and or cultural differences that suddenly mean, from here on, no one shall pass. So colonization has separated us from each other or kept us from each other. I don't believe that unless you decide to practice that. That is a choice, as in taking on an insult from your 11th year and making that your entire worldview and obsession over beauty. That is a choice you have made. That is not an imperative that we are all doomed to because you say so. But again, that's just my perspective. But don't take my word for it. Do.
This year alone, we've witnessed pathological, political, and social unrest.
Every year we see. Sorry to pause again, but I keep now. Admittedly, this particular instance is unique historically. The whole pandemic thing, that doesn't happen very often. But social, political unrest. Name a year in the history of mankind where that has not been something you could say truthfully about the events of the previous year. Just somewhere on the planet, that's taking place. Somewhere in society, that's taking place. It might be on a spectrum of severity, but it's always there. So I don't want to hear people say we're living in unprecedented times. To a small degree, yes. Ultimately, no. This is a blip on the grand expanse and radar screen of time. This is a blip. So what does that mean? Why is that significant now? Why is that significant to your presentation?
That is why healing is the antidote humanity needs.
Well, by all means, tell me the recipe for healing humanity. I would love to know, because then I can bottle it and be a zillionaire. Or is that something that only you possess with whatever you've been talking about?
Because it leads us to unity.
What does? What constitutes healing?
I have no idea.
You just told us that colonization has stolen from us the most important thing, and that's each other. Okay, well, just going along with this, how do we get rid of colonization so that we might heal and become whole again? You must have the answer to this. You must have the notion. You are standing there on the stage proclaiming that you have the answer to true beauty and healing and unity. I mean, that is a big pitch.
Because she knows herself.
Does she though?
She learned who she was, Scribe, and how the world came to be. And she knows what we're going forward with, and doesn't bother to share any of this with the audience.
Well, but the thing is, all of this is predicated on her still being self-conscious about a comment from her when she was 11. So she's not even at peace with herself to get past that. So if all of, I know God forbid on a TEDx I get really, nitpicky or anything, but really, if that is the example you're trying to set with the sentiments you're expressing, it's not a good sales pitch. It just isn't. Okay, you've got less than a minute left. Take us away.
When we decolonize beauty, we are reintroduced to our authentic selves.
Oh, Lord.
I used to wonder whatever happened to that woman from the birthday party. The one that told me I was too pretty to be Aboriginal. You
used to wonder? I doubt it. It sounds like she's been taking up space in your head rent-free for 20 years. So,
right?
I think you've been thinking about it off and on for a very long time, but that's just me.
A moment that was so devastating.
Would you be happy if she was miserable now? I wonder. I don't know where the anecdote here is going, but I'd be curious to know.
She'd be happy if this woman found beauty within herself and realized not only that she was beautiful, but that Aboriginal people are beautiful too.
Okay.
Helped me to embrace my juguru.
She helped you? Okay, what does that mean?
Jiguru means beautiful and jittable.
Really? Because it sounds like she's perpetually made you feel self-conscious. I mean, okay, are you trying to fool us or are you trying to fool yourself? Because your testimony so far has gone the opposite direction.
My grandmother's language.
Okay.
I now know that my jiguru is mighty like Barangaroo.
Is it?
And my jiguru like Walu, it's everlasting from when that sun rises to when that sun sets. Are you ready to embrace your jiguru?
What?
Thank you.
No.
I have no idea what the fuck she said. That entire thing did not make any sense. I'm circling word salad for the whole goddamn thing.
I have to agree.
What? What is that? What the fuck is that?
Yeah, no, it just, and it was just that last minute or so that kind of capped it, because unless you're going to be able to tie all those things together in your summation, they were all disparate parts of like 4 different essays smushed together into an 11-minute presentation. There was no consistency. There was no message. There was no lesson to be learned. Okay, let me set that aside for a moment. And we're going to work on the bingo card, because that's a more productive way. That's a more productive way to use our energy on assessing what we've just listened to. Let me shrink this down so it fits in the window here a little bit. That's good. Okay, let's go over it once. So everyone in the chat, Eve and I are going to go over the card once ourselves. And then after that, if you have any arguments for squares to be circled, do let us know. But hold off for a minute. First off, collectivize his own demographic. Yes. Both indigenous women and just indigenous people. Okay, and then something pops up. No, what? I don't want a virus scan to run right now. Stop it. Jeez Louise. Okay, collectivize his own demographic. Okay, let me make sure I get in the right window here so I don't accidentally refresh myself out of my own show, as has happened before. Okay, next, systemic institutional. She did talk about systems of beauty and things like that. And I think, if nothing else, beauty as an institution was definitely in there somewhere. Sales pitch for product or service. Nope. At no point did she bring up, I work for an organization that, or this. Now, she did talk about her being a model, but she only brought that up once. If she had brought it up more often, then maybe you could say she was pitching herself, but that didn't come up more than once. So if someone has a better argument in the chat, or Eve, do you think that she was pitching something in that sense?
I didn't get that. I mean, even somebody said her magazine. She mentioned the magazine, but I didn't feel like she was pitching it. I don't even remember what it was called.
Yeah, I think there need to be a little bit more repetition for it to be a sales pitch.
Yeah.
Or like, there'd be no doubt if she'd named the magazine or the agency she worked for, or something like that. Even if she'd brought up something like, I work for a nonprofit that promotes indigenous culture. Like I could go for that, like pitching for at least donations or something. I could buy that. I don't think she ever did that. So again, chat, if you've got arguments otherwise, just hold on. Plays victim. Oh yeah. Yeah. If you're holding, if you're holding an insult from the age of 11 till now and saying that it doesn't harm you anymore, but it's the thing that is obviously weighing on you. Yeah. Microaggressions, unconscious bias. Well, obviously, if we want to get really deep here, having a beauty standard, regardless of who you are, is an unconscious bias, because you're attracted to some things and not others. It's not necessarily a conscious thing. You see someone who possesses the attributes, whether they be physical and or amorphous, that you find attractive. So I guess beauty, in a sense, is an unconscious bias.
I would concur.
All right. I was trying to convince myself there, but I think I did okay. So circle on that one.
Well, I was going to make a very similar argument to that. So yeah.
Privilege. Okay, this is tough because she never used the word.
Yeah, I don't think she, other than if you want to go with that, she implied those that are not people of color or Aboriginal or whatever don't have to deal with. She never really even talked about that, so I can't even really say she claimed privilege.
I again, if you have an argument, chat for it. I think you're gonna have an uphill battle. I think because that's a tough one. You can infer a lot of things if you want to read between the lines of a cookbook, but she never quite got there. I guess we'll see. Contradicts own point or argument. Well, I mean, just on the balance that she went so many different places and never sort of finished a sentence, so to speak. And also, I mean, like I said at that time, she promoted the idea that we're all connected through the spirit and we're all beautiful in that way. And that she made a point to denigrate Eurocentric / white approximate and so on. Like, if you truly believe what you're saying, why would you have said that?
And then she made this big deal about the fact that, people don't find Aboriginal peoples beautiful physically, but then turn around and make an example of it but they need to be seen for their minds and their culture and it's beautiful as well. It's like, okay, but didn't you just, all right.
Let's see, weightless example, the whole creation sunrise myth thing. I mean, if you're just
a couple of those. I
mean, if this whole talk had been about sort of, which would have been fine, like showing off the uniqueness and beauty and having pride in her culture and their myths and mythologies and beliefs and so on, that'd fit in right just fine. But as an example of why I should inherently find Aboriginal women beautiful, it also dilutes the whole point because she gave us this one specific myth about the sunrise, and then she said that each tribe had their own. It's like, okay, well, what is that? Why does that make this one so special as to point out? What is that supposed to mean? So I think that's a weightless example. Even within a all over the place presentation, even within that small section of it, didn't make a lot of sense. Wage gap. She never talked economics.
Or feminism, for that matter.
Yeah, I was about to say is that she never really got onto talking. I mean, you could say, well, if she, again, this might be, tell me if this is a stretch, because I could see how this could be Mr. Fantastic style stretch. When she was talking about her, I'll just say, because I can't remember her name off the top of my head, her ancestor who had her status and power questioned or diminished as a result of the fish thing.
Barangaroo.
Yeah, would that yeah, you looked it up. Would that be?
I had it pulled up.
Would that be a feminist? It's not on point. It's
there was only that slightest little hint of but she was the woman who was too smart to be wooed by the white man's gifts, and it's like, okay, but it was more about her pride and about the beauty example than it was about she didn't make any examples of it.
Right, and she wasn't talking about feminism so much as a sort of matriarchal, or at least and I don't know, just what she was implying. She's implying there was a more matriarchal structure, and the British colonists coming in and respecting the men versus the women first. That just upset the balance, but obviously it's divided along gender lines, but she wasn't making a feminist point as far as I can tell. So maybe that's, I don't know. Again, chat if you guys, marginalization. I think that is overly implied by the complaint about beauty standards in general, and specifically highlighting Indigenous women. I think that's...
I concur.
All right, so circle on that one. Now, white supremacy. This is a tough one because she never said the words, obviously. The closest she got was white approximate and Eurocentric beauty standards.
I would say the entire emphasis on the decolonization and talking about the colonists and stuff and emphasizing how they're white every 5 minutes. I would say that there was definitely a hint of white bad,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think
all the white people are trying to lord over the other races.
Yeah. All right. So on aggregate, we'll take that one. Self-vilification or wretchedness.
The girl did hate herself a lot.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, okay, you could, if you're being an armchair psychologist, and I guess to a certain extent I was being one, you could say that she obviously has self-image problems, or she's carried over a lot of resentment from, again, working with what's in the presentation since she was 11. So did she ever express self-wretchedness? We can extrapolate from things she's said, but was it actually a part of the presentation, do you think?
The guilt that she said she carried with her throughout her life, and how hard she's tried to work past that.
Okay.
Because that's what she said. She said that for whatever reason, that one comment when she was 11 made her feel guilty.
Yeah.
In such a way.
Okay.
And I'm like, that's odd phrasing. And I've never felt guilty about something I was made fun of for, but
Yeah. Okay. Legit. Circling that one. We're almost there, guys. I think we're definitely getting at least one bingo out of this. I can see it already coming up. Make something about race, sex, etc. for no reason. Okay, that's the caveat. That's always the one you got to think about. Okay, so in the context of her presentation, as nonsensical and disconnected as it was there a element that was brought up for no reason that was effectively a non sequitur? I'm not saying it doesn't mean it has to make sense to the argument, but was there something that she brought up that had literally no justification to it? And that's not the same as weightless example. Like her bringing up the creation myth, she was talking about culture, she drew it back into this, that, and the other. It wasn't connected. It didn't help her argument. That's what makes it a weightless example. But there was a slight method to that madness. So was there an example of something she brought up and just didn't bring up again and had nothing to do with anything? I'm trying to think of people in the chat are saying the origin story, etc. No, like I said, there was a reason she brought it up because
it wasn't like she just took something and that was because I was black. No, there's literally 12,000 other reasons why you were done that way, but she didn't have any of those kind of stories or examples. It's really
she highlighted the wisdom and the culture of her people in the beginning of the presentation. So her bringing that up does have an anchor within the presentation. So you can't say that was there for no reason. Okay. It didn't add or do anything to promote her argument about beauty. That's the weightless example part, but it wasn't there for no reason. So,
yeah, I got nothing.
Okay. So again, guys, if you've got arguments to refute that, hold on to them. We'll get to them in a moment. Moving on. Attempt to coin new buzzword buzz phrase. I never heard anything in there where she said something I like to call, etc. And words in a different language don't count because that's just words in a different language. So I don't think she ever gave us a sales pitch for a book title or something.
Yeah, she didn't come up with anything that I haven't heard before elsewhere.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Mind reading assumes motives. Oh yeah. She knows what people think.
Oh, yeah.
She knows how they have to change their minds, even if she won't tell us the secret other than look inward, etc. So there's that one. Okay. All right. Next, benevolent condescension.
That entire thing was benevolent condescension.
Yeah. I think we can safely say that even though she gave us every reason not to trust her perspective on things as being skewed, she knew better than the rest of us. Okay. Gosh, I don't know. Should I circle this one? Leaves out vital context.
Gee, I don't know.
Golly gee whiz, that's a really tough sell, guys. Man, you better come up with some really good arguments for that one. I don't know if I could make a decision.
Bingo.
What? Of course!
We have our first bingo down the diagonal. So Now I have a feeling we might get more than one. So let me mark this one for just for clarity's sake. Whoops, no, that's the wrong. I don't want a circle. I want a line. There we go. A line, not a circle. All right. So let's do that just to keep things clear, and then go back to circle. All right, everyone. So this is the time where if you have arguments for squares that have yet to be circled, now's the time to put them in the chat. Be sure to tag me in your comments so I can see it as things progress. And while I wait for a couple of those, Eve, where can people find you next in your Twitch/YouTube realm of things?
Well, actually, in about 25 minutes, I'll be playing Since a Cyberpunk Ghost Story over on my Twitch channel. So,
Link to which you can find in the description below, guys. So as soon as we're done here, click that link, go over to Eve's Twitch channel, and get ready to watch her play some cyberpunkish goodness. And also, if you happen to have a couple bucks to spare, her Streamlabs link is in there too, if you want to take a look. Okay, I got a couple of things here. Let's see. I'm working a little bit from the bottom up, guys, so if I don't get to your comment right away, just give me a second. Patrick Williams, Scribelight, the feminism square is supplemental to the patriarchy square. No, that doesn't. One does not necessarily inherently inform the other. She talked about a patriarchal system wherein the British were applying that to her tribe. But that did not inherently mean that feminism was a part of the argument. These two things can be mentioned separately and not necessarily entwine one another. So you got to give me something better than that. That just if one just led to the other, I might as well make them one square. But we've had plenty of examples over the course of TEDx where you can mention one and not necessarily talk about the other. Because it all depends on what is actually contained within the presentation, not what you can necessarily infer. Let's see. Spudgun, make something about race, sex, etc. Yes, the whole thing was about women. Surely about men would suffer the same shite, so she sexualized it. It was about Aboriginal women. Surely Aboriginal men would suffer the same shite, so she sexualized it.
She did have a heavy emphasis on women, even though, there was... Yeah. Obviously, men would be the same...
Well, I mean, but here's that would go into contradict's own point or argument, because she talked about everybody being beautiful on the inside, but then she was only talking about women. So I don't think that's bringing up something for no reason. That's just her not being consistent, which goes to that whole, contradict's own point or argument and or leaves out vital context. So yeah, I need something brought up within the talk for no reason. Her not bringing up Aboriginal men doesn't. I don't think that, unless I misunderstood.
Well, I mean, she didn't specifically exclude Aboriginal men either, so she just failed to mention and took a very woman-centric perspective, I guess. So,
Scribe like race for no reason said the secret to happiness was decolonizing, aka white culture is bad. But her point from the beginning was that, I mean, the title of the whole thing. So saying that decolonizing, she brought it up for a reason. I mean, whether her reason made sense is beside the point.
Yeah, unfortunately, she had a reason for it.
Yeah,
because, it went to her overall point. It wasn't just like baselessly, and that person was a racist.
Yeah, and she brought up sort of abstract colonization of thoughts and ideas and attitudes, but also literal colonization from the British coming in and the fish and everything. So again, it makes sense in context that it was there. It wasn't came out of nowhere and never brought up again. If she'd said something like, if she brought up like sexuality or something, or gender identity, if she mentioned it once and it never came up again, had nothing to do with anything else, then you could say that. It's like, for no reason, and it had no grounding elsewhere in the talk. It has to be something like that. Spudgun, make something about race, etc. Yes, the whole thing. Oh, sorry, I already did that one. Pardon me. Gwyn Plain, to put it more simply, her reason for making beauty standards about race was not clear, which is equivalent to no reason.
I would say...
Again, leaves out vital context, kind of covers that, because she never made a connection. It has to be something she brings up as a point or a topic that is never revisited. that has nothing to do with the rest of the talk. The problem with this one is that the talk was in so many disparate pieces that were contained kind of in themselves and had a very light mystic cord of memory to another piece in the talk, that it's kind of hard to say this had nothing to do with it, because she did, not effectively, but she did find a theme piece to piece, or found a way to, if she brings up cultural beliefs at the beginning in the abstract and then talks about an origin story in the middle, even though it has nothing to do with enhancing her argument, it's still there for a reason. Again, not necessarily a good reason, but it's there. That's why this is always the toughest one sometimes, is because you have to really show. Like, I remember there was one I did several months ago now, where the lady was talking about restorative justice, and she's talking about an experience she had going to an emergency call, and how she and her team were able to talk this situation down rather than have the cops come in and potentially have it turn into something violent. And in the course of that, in describing where she was going and everything else, she brought up, I think it was something like, the person involved's sexual orientation, and made a point of like pointing that out. And then at no point, either in the story of them talking this person down or later on in the talk, did sexual orientation have anything to do with anything. So she brought that up for no reason. It just had nothing to do with her presentation, didn't enhance anything, whatever. I know it's kind of an abstract standard, but let's see. Anything else? Patrick Williams, perhaps still too nebulous on my part, but without the feminism angle, how is patriarchy in and of itself a bad thing, as she seemed to imply? The quality of it isn't necessarily bad. It's just, does she bring it up? Does she bring up the concept? And so the matriarchy, that was the standard, at least of what she implied from the, what was the lady's name again? I'm sorry, I keep forgetting.
Bangaroo.
Bangaroo. So Bangaroo's status as a leader in her community was being challenged by the male-centric British colonists coming in and assuming the men of the tribe were the ones in charge. So that was them imposing a sense of patriarchy onto this other tribe and culture. Okay. That does not inherently then mean feminism. And she didn't really bring up anything about feminism. The closest you could get is, oh, well, she went to this party with the British people and she showed off her tribe's sense of feminist power in wearing traditional garb, or feminine power, I guess you should say. But was that feminism, or was that asserting her status in the tribe in her own way to the British?
It was less about her being a woman and more about her being defiant to the British.
Yeah, that's, at least insofar as what she gave us.
More about her race.
Yeah, within the context of the presentation, she didn't give us enough to say this was a feminist act so much as a power play more than anything else. Let's see. Spudgun, Scribelight. She tried to paint Bangaroo as a feminist icon when she was just being arsey. Was it feminism or expression of female beauty? Those two things aren't necessarily the same thing.
Yeah,
but maybe I'm too male-centric about it. I don't know. Resolute Germ, if the story does not work to try and support her point, is de facto for no reason, so that story about her ancestor is race for no reason. Well, again, in the square, race is just an example. It doesn't have to be specifically race. That's where the etc. is there. It has to be something that's brought up that is not attached. So just to clarify that. If the story does not work to try to support her point, it is de facto for no reason. Okay, but is that not a weightless example? See, if she brings something up to try to enhance her point, but it's not actually doing anything to enhance the point, again, it may be a failed attempt to bring it in, but it's not for no reason. I know that's always the qualification that makes this one square so controversial, because you have to say, it came out of nowhere. It was a non sequitur. She brought it up once. It was unattached to everything else in the whole talk. Just because it's a bad example doesn't make it a no reason example.
It looks like you've got two people saying privilege because she considered Eurocentric cultures to be superior, but we already said white supremacy, like literally white supremacy. So
yeah, if she'd said something like, if she'd been talking about her modeling career and how, Eurocentric standards of beauty meant I did not get the same jobs as other models. Nothing in that statement has the word privilege, but you can easily take that one up.
I think that's part of what irritated me so much about her entire argument is because she didn't mention anything like that happening to her. Right. She didn't mention that she was passed over for jobs because of the color of her skin. She didn't mention that people other places in life were rude to her. She talked about that one incident when she was 11 years old and a girl said something to her that was really a little fucked up, but shit, you were kids. Like, kids say fucked up shit all the time. Why is this in particular, that one thing stuck in your head? Because apparently you don't have a better example or a more recent example of something of you being discriminated against because of your race. And that's, yeah. But I don't think that necessarily makes it for privilege.
Okay, Gwen Plain. Okay, my argument is that the entire talk was making beauty standards a race issue for no reason.
I don't hate it. I don't know if I'm just trying to be.
Well, see, okay, arguing in the positive of it. Okay, if your entire presentation has no grounding one to another, if you never make the connection between your argument and the fuel you're using to push it along, does that then become a subject without justification? Ooh, that's deep. That's deep. I don't know about you, Eve, but I'm on the fence. I could almost buy that. I think I might have to give that to the audience. What do you think?
I don't know, because since we only have one bingo, maybe give them two.
Well, I don't want. No, it's not about giving. It's not about giving.
True.
You see, the bingo card has to be kept sacred here. So this will be our last move, though, guys, because Eve has a show to do in a few minutes. Okay, that is an interesting take. This might set precedent for the bingo card, but
I'd say he's worked really hard to try to explain that as that. And
okay. So we'll at least credit for the effort, but does it hold any weight? All right, chat. If, and I think we could probably agree, if the main thrust of one's argument is so disconnected from the promised point of the presentation, does that in and of itself become an element present in the presentation, not to be too repetitive, for no reason? If you agree with that notion, put a 1 in the chat. If you don't agree, put a 2. No double voting. Be honest. Be pragmatic. Not looking for an easy win here. Be honest. We got it. This is the part of the show where we try to be as objective as possible. So if you agree with that, put a 1. If it doesn't quite meet the standard, put a 2. And I will. Yes, and Eve has the ability to vote as well. Okay, Eve, we got a 1, 1, 1. Okay. 1, 1, 1. I don't see any 2s so far. I need some more input, guys. More input.
While we're waiting for input, I would like to say that the entire thing was predicated on, it was predicated on an insult based on somebody's preference. Now, granted, the bitch shouldn't have said what she said as to her as a kid, but at the same time, the entire idea is that they need to change beauty standards. At least that's what my takeaway from it was. And if you're talking about somebody's preference, that's not something you can just change. You like what you like,
Yeah.
And don't be a dick to other people's preferences, and don't be a dick about, just because something is not your preference,
Right. Yeah. She didn't appreciate how other people, she presumed, think about beauty. Therefore, they're all wrong. Okay. I'm seeing a lot of 1s and no 2s. All right. Well, let's keep this in mind for the future, guys, because if someone can argue again in the future that someone's, again, argument fuel is so detached or is never brought around to making any sense of the argument, and that can be called make something about, etc., for no reason. Because with that, oh my God, if you can believe it.
Ooh, that's a bingo.
Right?
Yeah!
Woohoo!
And
Oh, won't somebody please?
Bingo. B-I-N-G-O.
Okay!
Right?
triple bingo and double bingo on the one square. Guys, triple bingo. That hasn't happened very often. I just need to check real quick because she is for me. I don't know if it's for everybody else. Is Eve glitching out for other people, or is it just me?
Hello?
Yeah, you're
Hello?
you're roboting and lagging a bit. Is that the show, guys, or is that just me? Let me know. We're almost done anyway, but I just wanted to check and make sure if anybody can hear me at this point because I don't know. Let's see. Got a lot of woo. A little says Micah, a little bit yes. Okay. All right. Well, we're just about done, and she's freeze framed on the camera right now, so I don't know if we.
I can still hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Your
Okay,
image is.
I'll just do this.
Okay, your image is frozen on there, but either way. Okay. Well, anyway, guys, we're gonna call it there. Triple bingo hasn't happened in a while. Also, I did add because I know somebody's gonna get me for this. This was a WTF presentation. And so consequently, I do have to remember, whoops, wrong shape. I want the circle, not the line. I have to remember to circle the entire card to signify a WTF event. So with that, everyone, thank you so much for joining me. Again, go take a look at Eve's Twitch channel and stream coming up in just a few minutes over on the Twitch link in the description below. Also, be sure to check out her Twitter and the Say No More podcast YouTube channel and Twitter. And her Streamlabs is there too, if you happen to have a couple extra bucks you want to toss her way. Eve, thank you. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I know it was short notice, and I have had a very busy last couple of days, so I really do appreciate you taking the time to join me.
Well, thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun. You got me out of my head for a little bit of all the stuff that's been going on lately. So,
well, any TEDx certainly makes your brain fall out.
oh yeah.
And everyone in the chat, thank you so much for joining us. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things, even though everyone here is so well behaved. You have very little to do. And everyone who donated, thank you so much for your generosity. If you'd like to hear from me next, for sure, you will find me Sunday morning, on this channel for the Sunday stream. I already have something picked out for Insanity on Sunday morning. But more importantly, I think, at least, Sunday night at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, I'll be hosting a Q&A/call-in show to celebrate my YouTube channel achieving 5,000 subscribers. So if you have a question you would like to lob to me or just a comment you want to put on, there is a little announcement video on my channel you can find right now. It's got a big thumbnail that says 5,000 sub comment thread or whatever. Put a comment and or question in there if you'd like me to take a look at that during the course of the stream, or if you're not going to be able to make it live necessarily. And also, if you're able and have a microphone, headset, quiet place, you can do it. I'll be putting the link up to the stream on the night so that people can call in and say hello for a minute or three. The only stipulation being that you have to be someone I at least recognize. I'm not going to let any strangers on because I don't know what they may or may not do. So if you're a known quantity to the show, Lords of the Night or otherwise, feel free to call in that night or leave a comment in the video on my channel. After all of that, everyone, again, thank you for joining us. Hope you all have a good rest of your week and weekend ahead. I hope you are all safe and well. If you're not well, please get well soon, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.